Hey, we're Janine and Joe. We're newbie sailors and outdoor enthusiasts. We think we live in one of the most picturesque places in Canada, and we want to show you everything our province has to offer, by land and sea. Join us this week as we restep our mast and prep the boat for our second Shakedown sail this season. Janine and I want to say thank you to everyone who's been watching our videos. If you're not already, we would appreciate it if you subscribed. Back in the boatyard today at the mast rack. We have our mast ready to go. Today's a big day. We're putting her back on Rhea, and just wanted to do one last quick overview of the whole thing with you guys. You'll see, as I showed you before, we have an outside brace where our mast kind of bent back a little bit just at the bottom. And since then we've done a little more welding and cleanup on the inside, and I made up some templates to make sure it's going to fit on our mast steps. So everything is good to go there. On the inside, tucked away, we have new electrical connectors and a new coax connector ready to go. Our furler, we've had it apart. It's all back together now. And we have an extension which is double-sided. This is the crux of our issue right here. We had just had one before, and now we have a double-sided extension. We took the opportunity to do some preventative maintenance and replaced one of the lower shrouds and also the forestay. So we had a little trouble with the forestay. It got a little stuck, so we had to take a couple of the foils apart. This is an old Harking unit, so it was quite tricky. It was quite bound together, but we got it apart and now back together. And one of the last things we did to get the mast ready is we put a halyard restrainer on here. So you'll see that we used rivets. It's on there pretty solid. We had issues with our jib halyard wrapping around our furler before, so that issue should now be resolved. You see all the new forestay hardware here as well. And the last thing we did to get this ready was replace the wind vane. So we now have a full intact wind vane. And one last shot down the mast. And you see the crane down here to the right. You're going to see us using that very soon to put her back on rail. We put the mast on the rolling rack and we moved it over to the crane. We lowered the crane hook to the mast height and wrapped the lifting sling around the upper spreaders. Once the sling was secure on the spreaders, we all got our hard hats on. Janine operated the crane and slowly lifted the mast up straight while we guided the mast off the rolling rack and towards the boat. Once the mast was centered above the mast step, I connected the electrical hookups, then Janine lowered the mast the last few inches into position. At this stage, you want to keep a fair amount of tension on the crane to keep the mast upright while we get ready to attach the stays. Once the mast is positioned, we started hooking up and hand tightening the standing rigging. Once the rigging was holding the mast, we started to lower the crane to get the sling off. The reason we want to lower it as much as possible is because someone needs to go up in the bosun's chair, and we don't want to send them all the way up the mast if not necessary. The lightest person usually gets nominated to go up the mast, and that person is Janine today. We used the halyards to hoist her up so she can get to the lower spreaders and unhook the lifting sling. The last step is lowering the counterweight back down and attaching it back to the crane for the next person to use. After the mast is back on, Janine and I put the boom in place. We attached the topping lift to the end of the boom and Janine hoisted it up while I secured the boom to the gooseneck.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
We are here back on Rhea. We have missed her after a long month away. We got the Mast back on this week and we're just here today. We're going to finish up the last couple of things that we need to do before we can go have our second shakedown sail of the season.
Yeah, we're going to tune the rig, so we're going to tension all of the stand-in rigging, and we'll show you a little bit of that. We'll do a little inspection of the rigging and show you a little bit of that, and then we're going to put the sails on, and then it's time to sail.
It's go time.
Go time. Okay, we're here and we're going to tension the rig and make sure the mast is straight. So to do that, tools are pretty simple. You need a screwdriver, a couple of wrenches, some masking tape, a pen, and one of these guys, which is a tension gauge. So what we're going to do first is we're going to do the outside ones, which are the uppers, and then we're going to make sure that the mast is straight, and then we're going to do the mid tensioning, and then we're going to do the lower tensioning. So the uppers, what we adjust to make sure the mast is straight, and then the mid and the lower is what we adjust to make sure that the mast is rigid and has its strength. For making sure the mast is straight, there's a couple of tricks. You can look right up the mast and see if it looks straight. And the other little trick that I got from YouTube is, it's not exact, but you can take your one of your halyards and put some masking tape on it and pick a place on the side of your boat where you're going to hold it with a little bit of tension, and you can place a mark on it, and then you go to the other side and see if it's the same distance. That's another way to judge if your mast is straight. So I'm going to start that process now, and we'll show you some stuff along the way. So I've loosened one side of the upper shrouds and tightened the other side, and by just looking at it now, the mast looks straight. So now I'm going to do our halyard trick and see if we can get it a little more precise if necessary. I'm going to choose this hole right in front of this stanchion to kind of do our measurement. I'm going to put a little bit of tension, not too much, and put a mark. I'm going to go over to the other side again, a little more tension. Oh, tangled around light there. And it looks about right. This side seems to be coming a little lower now, so maybe I went a little too far the other way and I got to bring it back this way. Not very much. Okay, so we have the mast straight. I have the upper shrouds tensioned. We want to tension them somewhere between like 12 and 15% of braking strength. I do have the port side tensioned a little bit more for straightness, to keep the mast straight, but they're within spec. And now I'm working my way inwards to the middle shroud, and you'll see how this tension gauge works here. It just kind of goes around the wire at the bottom, and it has a little spring up top, and then an arrow points at a number, and depending on the size of the wire, it'll tell you what percentage of braking strength that you're at. So I'm looking to get 27 on these mids, which is about 12-13% of braking strength. And I go back and forth. I'm doing this one a little bit, and then I'm doing the port side a little bit. And then I'll go into the lowers and I'll do the same thing. I'll tension this a little bit, check it, go back, do the other side. And then a little bit of back and forth, and by the end of it, there's just a little fine tuning to be done, and then we'll be all tensioned. The first step in setting up our jib is connecting the jib halyard and the jib to the furler. After this is secure, along with our jib sheets, I go back into the cockpit and Janine feeds our sail into the slider on the furler while I hoist. Once the halyard is made, we furled the sail up. You can see here it's a bit loose because we didn't have enough tension on the sheet while we were furling, so we redid that and got it a bit tighter. Next, to get the main prepped, we connected the outhaul to the clew of the sail and pulled the foot of the sail through the boom. We attached the main halyard to the head of the sail, and Janine hoisted the main as I guided the clips into the mast track that hold the sail in place. We also put our battens into the sail as we hoist it.
Okay, the boat is officially back together. We have both of the sails on and we're about to head out for our test sail. How are you feeling, Joe?
Nice light breeze, nothing too crazy, so feeling good. We took lots of extra steps to make sure everything's good to go, and yeah, should be fun.
I'm excited, but I am just a little bit nervous.
Yeah, we have to, the internet said we're gonna have to, kind of get back out there a little bit at a time for the anxiety of the mast falling to wear off. So
yep,
we'll take it easy today. We're not going far.
Yeah, we're just gonna bop around in the Bedford Basin and we'll include some footage of that as well.
We had a good shakedown sail and everything worked as it should. It was a relief to be back on the water. Tune in next time as Janine and I get back into the woods for a new adventure at Admiral Lake. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.